that intro take longer than usual, or is that just me? That seemed like it took longer than usual.
I'm not certain, but I'm gonna fix it in
Josh is
post. It'll be the
slipping.
normal time. So
He's slipping.
Okay. Anyways, hi, hello, welcome to
What's
Unscripted Gaming. Ooh, yeah.
living up to our
I am.
namesake since 1902.
I think it's been like since 2014, 2014, something like that. Hey, I'm host one of three. I'm Ray. What's the other 2/3? You go.
I'm Josh.
Yeah, there we go.
My name is Beetlejuice.
Here. Oh no, so cursed.
Mike.
No, we got that out of our system before the pod.
I don't
We're
think
not
we
doing
did.
this. I did. I'm done with it. I'm letting it go.
He didn't. Security got there first.
Oh.
Sorry. Continue.
Let's talk about some messed up stuff real quick in the gaming industry. Hey guys, can I spend like 5 to 10 minutes on Unity?
If it's
Yeah,
actually
that's probably the big story we should kind of go off with first, and then talk about video games are back.
Yeah.
So Ray, want to hit us with a recap of what Unity is, and then like what's the scenario here?
Yeah.
What's the sitch?
Unity is a game engine. It's a third-party game engine, middle software. Its usage is, or at least its theorem for its usage is like phrase is, we want to be the everybody game engine. If you know a little bit of C Sharp, you can go ahead and start programming, and you can start using tools, and everyone gets provided the tools. There's a lot of open sharing. It's very easy, relatively speaking, to make a video game on Unity, to the point where at the college I teach at, that's like the primary engine we teach people on. When I went to college, I learned how to program on Unity. I also learned how to program on Unreal. Uh, Unreal is better, and now I get to say that out loud and not take it back. But yeah, it's free to download. You can download it right now. You can make a game on it right now. Most of the games that you've played and like on your cell phone are probably made in Unity, up to including Hearthstone, Marvel Snap, um, wow, Cult of Lamb. There's so many games made on Unity. It's not worth getting into. Up to including like major games that you might have heard of, like Genshin Impact, Honkai Rail. Those large games. Yeah, you can make a good looking game on Unity. So a couple days ago, the bad happened. The bad happened. There was an announcement out of nowhere. You guys know what that announcement is about, right? So,
Lay it on
Unity.
us.
Well, yeah, Unity made an announcement. It used to be if you wanted to sell a game on Unity, it's fine. Once you reach a specific threshold, Unity would contact you, and you guys would start talking about profit sharing and whatnot. There are a couple different versions of Unity you could buy. You could buy the Pro version, the Enterprise version. Small indie devs will use the Pro version. Students use the free version / student version. It's perfectly fine. Unreal has a version like that too. Enterprise, if you're a big company and you need a game engine, you probably get the Enterprise version. Yeah, Unity just announced, hey, due to no reason at all, and I'm going to be as reductive as possible, they deserve none of my charity, we are going to charge a runtime fee. Unity Runtime is the type of application software that runs in the program that checks to make sure and see if Unity is running on a person's PC or phone or tablet or something. Whenever Unity loads up, there's a runtime script that runs in the background. And they say for every runtime that Unity detects, it's going to charge 20 cents to the developer per install. That is a lot. I'll give you an example. One of the developers that made this game that was released on Epic Store, the Epic Game Store, 3 years ago. I have it on my PC. It's called The Fall. Because it was released for free, 7 million people downloaded that game. If Unity's policy went back, and supposedly the runtime fee of 20 cents, supposedly it's going to be retroactive. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. We'll see. We're going to find out how that's going to turn out. But if it was retroactive and that person had to pay for those 7 million installs, 20 cents on the install, he would owe Unity, the company, $1.4 million for his game that he let Epic sell for free. Which the person commented on Twitter.com saying, that is more money than I have made in my life. Ever. I cannot give you guys that money. What do you want me to do? This has caused the game industry to go into a turmoil. Because 20 cents on the install, you might think like 20 cents isn't that big. 20 cents is a
It's a lot to
Well, so
the kinds of developers who use Unity.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, you especially think so. I did not fully understand this until you just explained it to me now. Like when it first happened,
cool.
I was
Might
like,
help.
"This is not great," but like, okay, like a small fee every time somebody installs the game, like whatever, like it's not that big of a deal, but people are gonna freak out about something different. But every time the instance runs is different. I just did some rough math, like you know, let's just use a $60 game as an example. That would only be 300 times opening up the game to hit the threshold where you've paid $60 to Unity, and you know at that point basically made absolutely no money on the game because every single dollar that the customer spent on the game has now gone to Unity in terms of the fees. Now, not every game you're going to
No,
open.
it's not every run. It's every
Install.
install. So if you, in this case example, if you had 300 people install the game, that would be $600, or whatever that math comes out to. That would be owed to Unity. Now that's $600 out of their profit margin or revenue margin, depending, that they never had to account for before. So in the case of, and I did some math with another a front-end developer friend of mine, if there were 2 million people that installed your Unity game, and whatever you charge for is whatever you charge for it, but say 2 million people installed it, that's $90,000 you have to pay to Unity at the end of the year. That is someone's salary that you now do not have to can't account for.
Mhm.
That's bonkers numbers for small-time developers.
Yeah, I think like that's a lot. I think you laid it out really well here, Ray. Like Unity, of course, when all this happened, the long tweets. You know things are bad when when you're posting tweets longer than 120 characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know things are going bad. Um, and they clarified a couple of points, saying like reinstall charges. We're not going to charge for a fee on reinstalls. So if somebody is like reinstalling a game,
Mm-hmm.
that apparently is not going to be charged. Fraudulent install charges, because one thing, you know, if review bombing is one thing, but imagine if like one of your favorite games goes woke,
Mm-hmm.
God forbid, you can identify your pronouns in a game.
There's one black female character, and that's it.
Yeah,
You
and that
have
means it's woke, obviously, and it must be destroyed. To fight the woke mind virus, the illicit woke mind virus.
the
So somebody could hypothetically like create a bunch of Smurf accounts, download especially if it's a free to play game, download it, and ring up this Unity fee.
mm-hmm.
But a Unity is saying that that won't count. But like, I think the obvious question there is like,
How would you
okay,
know?
what's the process for what counts as fraudulent? You know, if so, you know, again, we're talking about hypotheticals here. If a fraudulent download scheme costs you like $500, how long is it going to take for you to submit your claim to Unity for them to inspect it? Obviously, they are going to be looking at those to deny, because that's how companies make money, and that's what this is all about. And that's like just somebody just fucked your finances, and you're not going to be made whole for probably like 6 months minimum. Like, right?
I got an additional thing to that.
No,
When many developers brought up like, I'm sorry, it is all too easy for our competitors that have, like you brought up, like they just have a wild hair one day and they just hate us for literally no reason. Some ordinary gamer pointed this out, and he put it eloquently. You know, some ordinary gamer, if you don't watch his YouTube channel, it's a great tech YouTube channel. He broke it down so anyone can understand it. You can make a bunch of virtual machines, because once you change out your motherboard, if you've ever done that before, that counts as a brand new install to Microsoft. They're like, that's a different computer. No one just changes out their motherboard. No, it's the same computer. Well, whatever. Pay again for Windows. So if you create a bunch of virtual machines with virtual equipment being used, which you could do very easily, ask any, Russian bot farm, and you just say 50,000 installs in one day. What are you going to do? Prove me wrong. And as you were saying, you would ask Unity, how can you track that those are fraudulent? And Unity's exact answer to this on Twitter, in front of God and country, was, we have proprietary software to guarantee that this won't happen. You can
Oh,
appreciate
okay.
that we can't reveal the details. It's like,
Oh.
no, we can't appreciate.
Well, I mean, you want to get even more dystopian. Like, think about a internal employee at Unity who, has to hit a KPI for download or revenue or whatnot, and they're coming up short, and they do the exact same thing. They're like, all right, well, if I download Tor and get a Russian bot farm going and get a couple 100,000 downloads across a bunch of different games, well, there we go, we're golden, like revenue generated.
And this is bad. This is bad. And the head of directors, the directors knew that this was bad. People are posting about on Twitter saying, "Hey, I can't help but notice that your top 4 executives sold a grand total of 120,000 shares divided by the 4 of them 2 weeks before this announcement came. You guys want to talk about that? I think we should talk about that." They sold it at $42 a share, and it's like, sus. You knew this was bad. You must have known this was bad. Now, some new revelation came out. On the sly, Unity has been contacting the big fish, the whale developers, and saying, listen, we know you guys don't like this runtime thing. We will waive it for you if you install Unity Level Play, which is their advertising service. Because most people don't install Unity's Level Play advertising service because it sucks. So like, but if you install our advertising service onto your game and you give us a contract thing going, wet our beak a little, we'll remove you from the runtime fee type of thing. That's what this is all about. That's
right. I think that's a really good point, because like, I think there's a couple things going on here. One, if you look at like the Unity stock, it's down 5% over the past couple days. But like, which is, that happens. But again, the people who pay attention to stock prices consider like, what is the value of this company, and like find it, and like, a stock is not a gauge of like consumer appreciation or enthusiasm, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's a reflection of investors' confidence in the ability to generate profit. And this only dipping like 5% means that like this is part of the plan. I think that this also reeks of like, they want to, one of the easiest ways to kind of like sell something like this is to open up with the worst case scenario, walk it back a little bit. You get to say you're listening. We heard you, you're heard. Everyone gets to pat themselves on the back. And then their foot is in the door for this runtime fee, that like advertising service that you built and talked about. Like this to me, this absolutely seems like the questions people are asking are like very obvious questions. I think that should have been asked about software like this.
Yeah.
Well, I think
seemed like they were scrambling to answer it. So
yeah, and like you're saying with the start with the worst case and then back it down. They're hoping that maybe they didn't fully calculate how bad the backlash would be, and the number of people who are like immediately launching into talking into how to port their games to Unreal. Like, who knows if they fully calculated that, but they're probably at some point going to say like, oh, we're going to do this, that, and the other thing, and hoping that that's enough to calm some of the people down who are like, well, if it's not as bad as I thought, maybe I won't put in the time and money to port this over to Unreal or whatnot. They're hoping that they'll catch enough people who say, well, that's good enough, and we'll calm down because of it, while they slowly raise the temperature to boil the frog while it's in the pot and they don't even know it.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and I was telling this to one of my other programmer friends. Like, Unity they act like they're the top of the mountain to be doing something like this. And it's like, my dude, you're not. You're just there. Like, there are way better options. You think I used Unity in my first industry job outside of college? I never used Unity outside of college. Ever. Most professional places, like the most all-American not all, most American developers use Unreal. Because it's one, it's easier. Two, it looks better. And three, their contracts are upfront. You go download Unreal 5 right now, they tell you straight up, this is free to use for literally everybody until you make $250,000. Then our sales team contacts you. And that's fine. I think that's fair. Unity coming out of nowhere saying 20 cents on the install. It's like, excuse you? When?
Yeah,
Why?
to go back to a couple things, because like one, it's very much like the it's a very venture capital model where Unity pushed itself as like, hey, we're the engine for like the indie developer, for like the new person starting out, small team, like we're the engine for them.
Yeah.
You build like your audience, you build your market share, and then you turn the screws to like extract what you can and burn that bridge.
Yeah.
Well, I
to
mean,
make a
it's
buck.
what Reddit. It's what we just did with Reddit a couple months ago. Shit just fell out of my pocket. Hopefully that didn't come through. I mean, Reddit did that. Uber's done that. Like we can look at so many.
The model.
Yeah, it happens so much these days. You know,
And that's why everything's getting worse.
Yep.
Just broadly, that's part of it.
Piracy's back on the rise, baby. Privateer, let's
More
go.
people they're switching to the newer engine called Godot, which is just an open source programming engine that shares a lot of similarities with Unity. And you know, I fully endorse that.
I've been
because-
waiting for them for a long time. Sorry, that's
How
not that
dare
funny. Shut up.
How
Mike.
dare you? How
Go ahead.
God, you threw me off. But yes, if you can use an open source engine like Godot, go for it. If you can make your own engine, which a lot of companies do, like EA doesn't use Unity or Unreal. They use, for some of their first-person shooters, they use the Frostbite engine, which has its own problems, but damn it, it works.
Sure does.
Starfield came out and it uses its own engine. It uses the Creation engine, which is a thing, and it lowercase
Halt,
f
citizen.
functions.
You know what? We'll get to it. I've got some thoughts. They might surprise you.
Okay, I will be interested to hear your thoughts. But yes, to end the Unity discussion, I'll leave it at this. Switch to a different engine. If you are a student right now, don't expect to use Unity when you get out of school. If you're a young budding developer, switch now. If you're in alpha, switch. It's not difficult. One of the instructors I teach with, he was making a game in Unity. He's switching to Unreal, like, as I speak. He's spending his free time, like, doing the programming switch. My God, if you know C#, it's not that hard of a switch either. Like, you're already halfway there. You might have some trouble switching over the models and whatnot, but it's gonna be easy. Anyways, Unity rant. Don't use it anymore. It's gone. It's dead to us. Bye. Let it die. Okay.
I can't wait to see like Nintendo weigh in on some of this stuff and be like,
oh, Pokemon Go is made in Unity.
That's gonna be really
Nintendo
funny.
probably looking over there like, what did you just say? What did you?
Yeah.
What
it's
did you
like-
just say?
If
Yeah.
there was
It's
if
gonna
there
be
was
really
anything
funny.
that was gonna make Japan decide to like remilitarize, it's Nintendo just be like, all right, we got to go get these fuckers.
That is you think Nintendo has a contract to go ahead and keep Pokemon Unite, the Unity, Pokemon Unity? I think that's also made in Unity. The Switch one that looks like League of Legends. Yeah,
yeah.
that's gonna be interesting to hear what like very large companies.
Isn't that Arceus?
Arceus, no, that's their engine. Pokemon Unity is that
Oh yeah.
it's that MOBA looking
Stop
game.
making me know about Pokemon.
I'm
Stop
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
We should talk about other games, like good
That's
games.
a great idea.
Yeah, because while Unity was out there shitting the bed, video games are back, baby, in
Video
a
games are
very
back.
in a good way.
Josh,
And-
what are you playing?
So, guys, I'm talking to one specific person out there. I've played some video games, and I'm here to talk about them.
Okay.
Finally.
Oh,
they're like,
oh,
wow.
Um,
Oh yes. Well,
I freed up
They
my
know who they
What do we talk about on this podcast again?
I freed up my schedule, and I've been playing some video games. Namely, I've been playing Ace Combat 6. Picked that up on launch.
Armored Core 6. How
What did
dare
I?
you?
Okay,
AC6, I get you though. I feel you.
But also in some ways they're almost the same game.
I am so
I see
confused
that.
right now.
I agree.
I mean,
But
they're both vehicles. Yeah.
They're both vehicles. Their
There you
mission
go.
structures are the same. The way that they give you information between things are the same. The way that they basically have like 6 levels of like, let's do a lot of fodder and then like go for a big bullet sponge baddie. I mean, they're very similar in the way that they function and they structure and they go. The only difference is Armored Core 6 is a FromSoft game, and they have decided that, hey, we're going to make the missions really easy to the point where you're going to have a lot of fun, but you're not going to really use any of the skills that make, like, you know, use of dashing and moving and doing a lot of things at once. And then we're going to get you to a boss battle where you're going to have to use a lot of skills that you've never used before that are so infuriating, with hits that will sometimes do 75 to 100% of your damage at once, and you're going to be like, I've never played a video game in my entire life.
I can contest that. All of the levels before each boss battle does teach you how to fight the boss.
It just doesn't. It just doesn't. I'll
give you an example of a recent one I watched you play. I remember watching you fight the sea spider, right?
Oh my god.
What did you have to do right before you fought the sea spider? Right before?
You had to try and somewhat dodge some fucking space lasers.
Your AC had to be fast enough, or you had to have the skills to dodge the lasers. What attacks does the sea spider spam at you?
Lasers and jump on your fucking head with these laser fangs. But I will counter with the lasers are like, hey, incoming laser. They don't give you a visual cue. They don't like, they're just like, hey, it's getting closer. Dodge at some point and see if it works. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, here is something you've encountered in the other missions or you've gotten to do in your combat before now. Take 30 seconds, dodge these lasers, and then go fight the most infuriating boss you've fought in your entire life that almost made you request a refund on Steam.
The way to beat the sea spider in this boss is, if you have the speed, if your AC has the speed to dodge the lasers outside, which that is a speed check. If you have that speed, then you have the speed to dodge all of Sea Spider's attacks. Says the person that is also playing Armored Core 6, and I'm literally on my 5th run of it right now. I love this game. I absolutely love this game. This is the best Armored Core.
I love the games outside of the boss battles. The boss battles are stupid. Everything else, very enjoyable. I love the arena missions where you get to, fight some of the ACs in the arena there. I love the story. I love everything about it. The mech customization is awesome. It is very granular in an awesome way. Like, there's so many cool things you can do with it. I like the mission to mission stuff. But man, those boss battles are stupid.
Here's what I have to say as someone that's played a lot of Armored Core games. It used to be worse. Imagine this. Imagine you die to a boss in an Armored Core game, and it's like, oops, you failed the mission. Go back to the beginning of the mission and do it again. Here in this Armored Core 6, it's got tons of quality of life stuff. You get checkpoints, you get to re-heal right before each and every boss battle. After the boss kills you, it says, do you want to fight it again? Or do you want to build your AC differently just for this boss battle? There are so many ways that the game keeps saying, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. That at a certain point, I'm like, this is the easiest Armored Core game
or
ever.
does it just politely suggest?
It says like you have this option,
but
it says you can restart.
It shouldn't give you the option. It should just be like, no, you have. It should be like the first time. It's like, well, it honestly needs to. You know what this game? It sounds like this game could use. It could use a classic Final Fantasy. Let's give you a boss fight you're not actually supposed to win kind of fight, and then that will be your mechanic for like introduce that's your hard pivot into, hey, you should consider rebuilding your mech to fight this boss. Like, you need a classic JRPG boss fight you're supposed to win.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't appreciate some of those quality of life improvements, and also like I played Armored Core 2 and 3 on the PS2 when I was 10 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
early teens, like, A, I had a lot more patience and a lot more time, and B, it was so long ago. It's literally, I just remember enjoying the games. I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
anything else. But I will say, for me as a player, like, I'm very anal about, like, not, I want to maximize my credits, and I don't want to just have a bunch of shit lying around. So, like, the rebuild your mech in the middle of the fight is useless to me, because when I buy new weapons, I'm like, all right, out with the old, in with the new. I sell that shit back because it's of no use to me, especially because the numbers were lower, so I'm not going to need it. And I'm not going to be like, oh, I have this amazing Gatling gun. Let me buy 3 other weapons that I might need just for shits and gigs. Like, no, that's stupid.
What you're saying is you don't like FromSoft games.
No,
Is
I
what
don't. No, I don't. I had a conversation with somebody the other day when we were I was playing Tunic and streaming it, and you're like, wait a minute. I think this is a roguelike game. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I like roguelikes. I just don't like FromSoft games because they're bad.
Tunic is a FromSoft game. There's dodge windows, and there are boss attacks, and there are fire. Come on, that's totally a Souls-like game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like a Souls-like. I just don't like
Okay.
FromSoft, except for
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You don't like the best one, the king, the granddaddy, the one that has it down to. Okay, Josh hates Armor Core 6, or rather, he hates the bosses of Armor Core 6.
I love everything about Armor Core 6 except the bosses. It's a great game. I'm having a good time when I'm not in a boss battle.
So the first big boss I got the Armor Core 6, Balteus. I was stuck at him for 3 hours, and that's because I was ignoring all the mechanics. I built my mech. It was very Gundam-like, and I'm like, let's go. I got my rifle, I got my missiles, I got my beam saber, and when he starts to fight off, I said, I know exactly what I do. I threw on my over boosters and said, bah! Rushed towards him, smacked him with a fully charged beam saber, knocked his shields off, started firing my gun, and he kept beating my ass, and that's because I was not doing it correct. I wasn't paying attention to certain things that the game was telling me. Like when his shield was up and I was firing my rifle at him from afar, I would see a little notice on the screen and I ignored that. But if you look at the notice, it says ricochet, ricochet, ricochet. And when I hit him with my beam, it showed that the beam saber, because it was made of energy and you're hitting an energy shield, it was doing maximum amount of damage. I knew that, and I had the ability to correct this. I chose not to for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Then I stopped. I said, okay, this is a FromSoft game. I've beaten the Dark Souls. I've beaten the Sekiro. I've beaten the Bloodborne. I need to treat this like a FromSoft game. And so I started paying attention on one extra run. And as opposed to using my rifle and my Gundam-looking kit, I decided, F it, we're going tank. I'm taking too much damage. Also, 2 giant energy weapons and 2 giant energy weapons on the back. We're not screwing around. He's weak to energy weapons. If he's weak to my sword, which is energy, he's gonna be blah, blah, blah. I killed him in 10 seconds flat. Not even joking. Like, I wish I recorded it. I will do it again just to show you guys my anti-Balteus build. And that's what I love about this game. It gives you everything you need to beat the bosses. It gives you everything you need to complete the levels. It's just asking you, you need to pay attention to this and this and this. And tell you what, pat in the head, we're going to give you checkpoints, pat in the head. We're going to give you recharge stations right before each and every boss with a checkpoint. So when you screw up, you could go
But
right
again,
back to it.
the checkpoint is useless. Like, if let's say, okay, I do need to redo my build, like, the redo your mech is basically useless if you cannot buy new things from that menu. Like, if you can't be like, okay, well, I've been running a physical build because the game has essentially only required that for the last 2 hours of play. There's been no reason for me to buy an energy weapon because nothing has pushed me to need it. And now all of a sudden, out of the blue, I have to have energy weapons or I can't do anything. So I've not bought an energy weapon because I didn't need one. So now I have to go do it. So I either have to I'd have to have the foresight to just buy an energy weapon because, or I have to waste the checkpoint and go back and do that mission again because I have to go buy it and redo my entire setup.
I have something for you. It's going to piss you off. There was a level right before Balteus, right before Attack the Watch Point. It is a level called Infiltrate the Baus headquarters. And in that level, you get
The boss.
Baws, Baws. You get swarmed by 4 invisible robots on the walls and 1 robot that falls down, if you remember him, with the shield. And then you're warned over the radio, watch out for his shield. It deflects kinetic weapons. The game tells you. And you have to either make a choice. Get rid of the hidden robots on the walls or deal with the shielded one. And the only way you could deal with the shielded one is you bring an energy weapon. They tell you that. And that's something in your head when you see Balteus and you see him in the cutscene. Listen, this is just game
No,
design
but
101, my man.
again, like there having one moment before a battle where it's like, oh hey, you have an energy weapon, and you're like, okay, well, I've got the sword, I'm just gonna like get up close and use it. Then does not unlock you to go like, I should probably go buy every single energy weapon in the game because I might then go to a boss that like it just I get what you're saying, and they like to put in little nuggets, but it's not an actual logical jump to like guide you somewhere. It's basically plausible deniability of like, oh, we totally warned you that this was going to happen. I don't know what you're talking about. We had an energy guy right there. You should have known, you fucking idiot. No, fuck you.
I
you
don't know what to tell you, Josh. I don't know what to tell you.
See, my thing is I don't, because you're sitting here like, oh, I spent 3 hours on this guy before I figured out, like, the game, the developers, the studio, like, they don't respect your time. And like,
FromSoft has never respected your time.
And
I was
that's,
stuck
you
with
know, that's
Father G for 5 hours.
like,
Let's not talk about Ganishiro Ashina. I will never replace Sekiro because of Ganishiro Ashina.
and that's, I mean, I want to get back to Armored Core. I want to play, like, I did enjoy it. I think it's a beautiful game. It runs super well. Like, I want to play more, but there's a reason why, hot and heavy in the middle of it when Starfield came out, which I'll get to in a second. Like, when that came out, I have not played Armored Core since then because I was like, this game does not value my time. Like, it does not do anything that would suggest that it, like, wants me to actually have a good time. So I'm going to go do something else for a little while.
So I want to talk about, give me just 2 minutes. I want to talk about why I'm on my 5th run of Armored Core 6. God, I love this game. I love it so much. Every single time I finish a run, I'm like, I think I'm done. And I'm sitting down and I'm like, I could do another. We could do another one. Let's go do another one. And I built Gun Tank from Gundam. It is just, I have the heaviest core. I have just the head that is in the trailer. It's the head that where you hit a certain button and it locks down and goes to attack mode. I love it. I have 2 Gatling guns and I have 2 giant rail guns on the top. So when I'm just like laying into opponents with the Gatling guns, every so often it's like, oh, you have heavy shields, rail guns, and then lay into them with the Gatling guns, and I'm just running around as a little tank. It's fun. I'm going through the game that way, and there's multiple different endings. There's actually 3 different endings to this game. 4 if you do something really bad, don't worry about it. There are different routes that you can take. There are different allies that you can make along the way. You start finding out that the planet of Rubicon means a lot to Rubiconians. You find out what a Rubiconian actually is. There's a deep story to the game. The fact that Walter, the character, he keeps calling you a dog and he calls you the Hound, and you find out your pilot doesn't have autonomy. You are a slave inside this AC. Do you even get out of the AC? And the answer is a solid maybe. There's so much, and then you're meeting other AC pilots, and they're also called Soldiers of Fortune, but you're not sure if they ever get out of their AC. That's some deep story about, like, most Armored Core games are a deep story about, like, capitalism and debt economy and what you have to do to complete a mission. In mid-mission, there are some missions where you switch sides. You're, like, working for the Balaam industry, and then the Rubiconian Liberation Front, the guerrilla fighters, they'll say, listen, we'll pay you double whatever they're paying if you take out those 2 friendly ACs in front of you. You're like, double? I'm here for the money, baby. Let's go. And they said switching IFF sensors. And all the enemies that you were targeting, they switched to allies. And then the 2 people that were on your side switched to enemies. That shit's hot. That's so cool that they give you that choice. And there are different sort of check things that happen in that game. There was one mission I just played where my first run, you had to protect this giant arms fortress, this giant sand crawler that's just meant for mining coral, the type of material used on Rubicon, and you had to attack it. But my other run through it, it says, hey, we can give you a different mission, completely different. You actually have to escort it. And then you're like, oh, that's different. I will escort it. You don't get that option the first time you run through the game. You only get that option the second time you run through it. Oh, looks like Mike has taken the break. Okay,
Mike.
fine.
Uh-oh.
No, it's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. He probably just paused the video for a second. And then when you have to escort it, you find out that enemies from your first run of the game are now here attacking it, and they destroy the. I guess spoiler. I guess they destroy the mining ship and they attack you. There's some cool storytelling in this game. It's like I want to say there's better storytelling in this game than like Armored Core 4 Answer, and until how to put it. And until I played this game, that was like the top of my list. It's in my conversation for Game of the Year. I don't know if it's my Game of the Year. It's definitely not my Game of the Year. My Game of the Year is probably the one that Mike wants to talk about, which I'm also playing. Mike, go ahead.
Well, we should should we have Josh chime in about Starfield, maybe?
Okay, because I have a lot to say about Baldur's Gate 3 as well. Josh,
Yeah,
I actually haven't played Starfield. What is Starfield like?
I have two more quick hits that I'll get through, and then we can get to the larger Baldur's Gate conversation. So the other two games that I've been playing, I honorable mention, my wife and I finally started Tears of the Kingdom. We're very early in. The Switch needs an upgrade.
Yeah, desperately.
Yes, it does.
Yes. We also started playing BattleBit Remastered. That game rocks. Fuck what they did to Battlefield. Play BattleBit. It's incredible.
We have played that together.
We have.
That's
It's
quality game.
It's such a good game, and it just proves that DICE really just dropped the ball with Battlefield. Like it didn't have to be that way. It did not have to be that way.
And I talk about how like funny and cool it is when I'm playing the medic in BattleBit, and I'm like, pew 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 pew, and all of a sudden like Josh gets down, and you see the little Roblox little nubbins like drag the character out of the water.
It is so good. It is unreal. But yeah, Starfield. I started playing Starfield pretty much on launch, playing it on PC obviously, but I mean, the long and the short of it, I mean, it is a Bethesda game in space.
Oh.
So if you like your Skyrims, if you like your Fallout, you're gonna enjoy this game just from knowing what Bethesda does. Some people have put some comparisons out to No Man's Sky, to Mass Effect, and kind of things of kind of bringing those two together. I don't have that frame of reference because I've played neither of those games. For me, when they were like, people were talking about pre-launch of, oh, we're not going to be able to, completely circumnavigate a planet on our feet, and there's only so much stuff, and other things. I'm like, I don't care, because like that shit is boring. Like honestly, the quality of life of, hey, yes, you can explore some places, but like I can also just fast travel and be somewhere and be like, oh, I need to go to that star system, that planet. I'm just going to jump there and go right to the place. Like, I don't need to have a dumb sequence where I'm like, oh, I'm flying my ship and I go onto the planet and I land. I'm like, no, I don't need that waste of time. Like, just get me into the action. But I will say the creation engine, you were mentioning how it feels like. I feel like this is one of the most fluid and active versions of that there have been in a long time. Like, there are times where I'm playing and I have a very tactile, clicky, mechanical keyboard, so it makes a lot of noise, which personally I like. I know that's not for everybody out there, but the way that my keyboard sounds sometimes almost reminds me of like when I'm playing a BattleBit or when I'm playing a Destiny. Like, I am moving, I am jumping, I am trying to find cover, I'm trying to flank. Like, there are times where I'm like literally jumping and using my booster pack to dodge a physical strike from an alien or something like that. It is fluid and dynamic in a way that is unexpected from
like so not to sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you,
no,
but
you're good.
yeah, I saw like footage of somebody was like, "Hey, I was playing Starfield and I tried to model my character after like the Dishonored games." And they
Yeah.
basically had a build where they were like teleporting around, like stealth killing people. And I was like, this does not like if you had told me that was like a Bethesda game, like just looking at this footage, I wouldn't have believed it. Because like it really does look pretty different in a lot of that stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, no, and it really does feel different. You know, moment to moment, walking around, working through the environment, picking up pretty much anything you can. You know, that's not bolted down. Like that still feels very Fallout, very Skyrim. You know, whatnot.
I'm
But
glad
like,
that the face zoom is still kind of there.
yeah, it's
That
good.
that's just I just love that. It just cracks me up.
No,
I love it.
honestly, if they got away from it, would be like, this isn't what I want. Like,
It doesn't feel right.
yeah, it's not. Go back, please. But again, it's just it is a flowing combat in a way that I wasn't expecting, and it feels really good. And you know, for me, I have not encountered too many bugs that have broken the game or done something wonky. Like I had one time where I beat my companion to an airlock and I went inside and came back outside and she was like following me and she was outside in the environment outside of her spacesuit. I'm like, I mean, she looks ridiculous, but like it's not actually like game breaking, doesn't change anything. But you know, I'd say I've probably put about 10 hours in. You know, I'm getting to the point where I'm really starting to make some decisions on, you know, what factions I'm aligning with, and I've really not gotten that, like, you know, looking at the map, I've only explored like 2 or 3 of the opening star systems, and there are, you know, I move my map and I see hundreds. I see ones that are, you know, well, that my ship can't even reach right now. So I know I've got a lot ahead of me, but I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if you guys have any questions about it, but I like it a lot, and I see myself continuing on, like putting more into this game. Like I'm not like, okay, I see what they're doing, and I'm ready to go back to something else. Like, you know, I downloaded Sea of Stars and I want to play it, but that can wait because Starfield's really good.
I have questions about Starfield. I'll probably have to give it a shot for myself later. I have seen some things that make me look. Okay, I am very hit and miss on Bethesda games, like Bethesda developed games. Uh, I can't think of a Bethesda developed game I think I've played in like probably the last 10 plus years where I'm like, yeah, I get it. This is like ultimate great. I played Fallout 3 and I've never returned back to Fallout 3 because I g- I picked up what it was throwing down. I did beat the game and I got what was called the loser ending because I sent the super mutant to go like save the world. They're like, "No, you're the human. You're supposed to do it." It was like, "I'll get irradiated to death. This
We'll
guy's
die.
immune
And
to
they're like, no,
radiation."
go in. Get in the
Yeah,
pod, Shinji.
yeah. I get in the pod, Fox. I think it's Fox, the super mutant. I was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
get in there." There is an animation that he plays where he's like, I don't know. I'm gonna hit the button." Like, "Yeah, do it, Fox. Go ahead, take care of it. Yeah, I'm out here though. You be in there." And the game
Doing
like
great.
insults you for doing that, even though that's clearly the optimal decision.
That rocks, honestly. I love that.
And I didn't play Fallout 4 because it was like a buggy catastrophe at launch, and I didn't play Fallout 76 because I respect my time and energy and money. So I was hesitant on Starfield, but much like you said, I do have another friend that loves space games, like he has the full rig and whatnot, and he says he's having a good time, and his wording for it, he gave it. I'm going to take his. He plays a lot of space games, and he plays a lot with me. He said, "This is the best game that came out 10 years ago," is what he said to describe Starfield. He says, "It feels good, but it feels like all of these systems are super archaic." Now. He said if this game came out in 2013, this easily would have won Game of the Year and would have been declared the best game ever. he was describing certain things that we've like moved beyond. I haven't touched it myself. I'll have to get hands on the controller at some point.
What is he talking about? Like, we got beyond that. Is there anything
Okay.
specific you can talk to or you remember that he
Yeah,
said?
yeah. This you'll see plenty of this online, and I'm sure you might have seen it on maybe Twitter, maybe you haven't. The enemy AI when you're flying in zero-G space, it's programmed to only target the middle of your ship. So people are just building ships where like the cockpit's over here, the boosters are over here, and it's all connected by like a weird little rhombus cube, and they're invincible now. Because the enemy keeps shooting and it's direct hitting you, but it's going through nothing. Because the AI is only going to the center mass of the ship. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And also the procedural generation of the planets, it looks cool at first until you actually start walking, and there is less content on the planets than a No Man's Sky procedurally generated planet. And No Man's Sky came out in like 2016, so of course you would have expected some movement to go beyond there. But like the desert worlds of procedural generation for Starfield are just the desert worlds. And also, let's say you want the poop socket. Alana Pierce did this on Twitter and she posted a video. You're supposed to jump point from one planet to the other, but Elite Dangerous lets you do this. Stop it, Siri. Elite Dangerous lets you do this, but Starfield does not. Let's say you want to fly from Earth to Pluto. You have to get to Earth in Elite Dangerous, but pretend for me. You can get from Earth to Pluto, or like a Earth-like planet, a M-class planet in Starfield, and fly to Pluto. And it'll take you 7 hours to do it with the type of engine pack, and that's realistic. But you can't land on Pluto because you specifically didn't select the warp point to Pluto. If that makes sense. So it's like they are using lots of different smoke and mirrors for game design that if you try to like scratch at the surface, it sort of falls apart. Now, if you ignore that, if you just blissfully, you're like, I don't care about any of that. I'm here to play game, which is fine. That's a perfectly fine way to play the game. You're gonna be fine, and you're probably gonna have a decent time.
Can I say one thing though, real quick, about just a little counterpoint to your little, if you just fly to Pluto, you can't land because you didn't warp there. If you just fly to Pluto and you spend 7 real human hours of your time doing that, you're stupid. You're wasting your fucking time. Go touch grass, you fucking moron.
Okay, so Alana Pierce did this on a stream, and there are people, like, granted, it's niche, and I'm not one of these people, but they exist. There are people that want to do space trucker games, and those games exist.
Then go play that game. This isn't a space trucker game. This is a space adventure. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry, we're not gonna make Starfield.
Wait, hold on, Josh, you're holding way too much water for a game you didn't work on. I need you to calm down.
I'm just saying.
Hold on.
But building the systems that would be needed to do stuff like that make the core experience of the game worse. You're looking for an experience out of a game that it's not built for, that it doesn't need to do because it would make the other stuff worse. And again, for people to be like, oh, this game sucks because I can't spend 18 hours flying from, Earth to a different star and wasting my life. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to have a worse experience because one person's like, I want to spend 24 hours flying straight from Sol to Alpha Centauri and then land on a planet seamlessly because...
Well, no. I think you're misunderstanding this. The person I'm describing, the friend, he likes this game. I think you totally misunderstood.
Well, and that's fine, but like, I think to say like, oh, this game has flaws because I can't fly from Earth to Pluto seamlessly is being unfair to there are other things you can say that are legitimate criticisms.
You wouldn't describe it as like a sim.
Yeah, that's it's not a sim, and
I don't think it is.
There are legitimate criticisms and there are non-legitimate criticisms, and that's a non-legitimate criticism. But it gets lumped in with legitimate criticism that I think a lot of games deal with.
It should, if I may counter that, it should just say you can't do this action.
So it should, like, you should hit, like, an invisible wall that says, like, you can't fly past this point.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, like if the game is based on like, hey, our procedural generation engine actually only goes so far, tell us. Just say that. Just put a wall there. It's cool. The wall's already there. When you warp from one planet to the other, you can't go beyond that planet. It's only at your starter planets that you can actually go from one distance to the other. If it can't allow you to say, if you want to, as I was saying, poop socket from one planet to the other, you just got some free time, you got a bored afternoon, and you like the thought of space trucking, yeah, just say, no, you can't. It won't work. That's it.
Fair.
Yeah, I haven't played this game. I don't know what to make of it. It looks interesting. I think it's kind of neat that Bethesda coined the term NASA punk. I don't know what to make of that, but I think that's neat.
I get it. I think
Yeah,
that like the knobs and greebling looks good. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
I see it. Looks
I
good.
think the custom spaceship thing is really, really cool.
I wish I was more creative and like took the time to get into that. Like I'm very like, hey, this ship works, and I'm not gonna spend an hour designing a new ship to go do a mission. Like I'm just not that kind of player, but it does
Mhm.
look awesome, and it is very robust, obviously, and people are doing some crazy stuff with it.
I like the R-Wing build that I saw. It's just the R-Wing from Star Fox, but bigger. I think it's neat. I think it's a neat game, and I'm glad that someone has filled that void. Someone had to topple Star Citizen, and you know what? This is
I mean,
doing it
Star
for the
Citizen
masses.
had 8 decades to release, and they just haven't. So I mean,
They had
The
all
Starfield
the
is a full retail product.
it is.
single player full game that you could play,
Just
and it won't crash too much.
you just do
What
it.
more? What more can you ask for? Speaking of games that are full retail that you could play and won't crash too much, there's this RPG that came out. It's called Baldur's Gate 3.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the game of the year. I don't know. I think I'm calling it right now. I don't know what's coming out in the next couple months because I'm too busy with Armored Core clearly. And I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3. I am past Act 1. But every time I touch Baldur's Gate 3 lately, I'm like I should beat Armored Core 6 again.
You're like too jazzed up from Armored Core, and you don't want to like slow down to the pace of Baldur's Gate.
That's really what it is. It's like you have to sit down with like a small snack and like a drink on the side, and you need to just absorb the world into
Mhm.
Baldur's Gate. Meanwhile, Armor Core's like, energy drink is right here. The dog is sitting right next to me. PS5 controller in hand. Let's fucking go! And then you beat it in like 3 hours or something
60
like that.
frames a second.
That does something. Okay, Baldur's Gate has some optimization issues.
Oh yeah. It's a little technically it's a little bumpy in some spots.
Mike, what do you think about Baldur's Gate 3? You're further in it than me.
Just to give a little bit of context for those who don't know, Baldur's Gate, in short, is basically what if we took the 5th version of everyone's favorite role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons. Fun fact: I've never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, interesting.
What if you took that and made it into a video game? It just like borrowed the rule book that like Wizards of the Coast and not Mattel, Hasbro like print, and just put those rules in the computer, and then built a video game around it, and using kind of the canon D&D world, and that's Baldur's Gate. So I think for me, again, we're already kind of running along here, so I won't like belabor it too much, but we can maybe this would be a fun game to do like a full big like spoiler cast on, Ray.
Probably beat it before October
Yeah.
comes, honestly.
Yeah,
My fifth run of
time
AC6
frame.
is going to be
yeah.
my last run.
But
Yeah, time frame, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screenshot this moment when Ray's on run 19. We can be like, Ray, you said you were done.
yeah,
No.
drop the clip. Drop the clip in here.
Damn it.
Timestamp 55:15.
Got him.
55.
So yeah, so Baldur's Gate is, again, it's like a Dungeons and Dragons style RPG where you have a party, you kind of are on this kind of adventure, and I'm really liking it so far. I think, again, I don't want to like go too much into it, but it's a game that like when I finish it, I'm probably gonna dive right back in and like want to play through it as like a different character and a different class, like wholly different build, and just like try because there's so much stuff like I already know I missed based on like how discussions went and like I aligned with these people, so that means I can't be friends with these people. Like there's just it's fascinating to me that like Larian Studios, the team that made this game, is okay with just the volume of material that most people who play this game will never see.
There are over 17,000 endings in this game.
Yeah. And like a lot of those are going to have like pretty vast overlaps, but like
Yeah.
knowing that the game is like tracking that big of a spreadsheet of like all your kind of interactions with like your characters, the decisions you're making, like
It's
it's
kind
really
of daunting, isn't it?
it's crazy. And like I don't know a lot about like specifically like, developing games, but I can't imagine that it's a great idea to generally put a lot of time and resources into things that a lot
Most
of people
won't
might not see. Um, which is why you should raid in Destiny because that's the best stuff in all those games. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't do that.
Well, just imagine you're playing a game where, and obviously, like, this game was in early access, I think, for like 5 years.
Right.
So they had a lot of time to like really polish this as much to a sheen as possible, and I think it's successful. But imagine just sitting down with like a script writer with like a room full of DMs and being like, okay, when you make this decision right here, it opens this entire block of endings up to the player. When you make this decision right here, close this section off, leave a window open, and open this block of endings over here. And I just made a decision recently. It involved a worm, and I'm like, will this worm make me more powerful or not? And I made a decision there where I'm like, I just know I fucked up, and I just made a ton of different endings.
Oh yeah, baby.
You're just
take
like,
the worm
God
powers. Let's do it.
damn it!
We're gonna talk, Ray. You got to take those worm powers. They're so good. You got to get the call of the week. It's so sick. You just gotta get like 7 or 8 more worms in there before it really starts popping. But trust me,
Did you?
man.
This isn't
I've
a
been
spoiler.
snacking on those worms.
God damn it! Did you let the bard do something with your eye?
No.
Okay, Mike. I don't know if you're ready for it, but I let the bard do the thing with the eye, and it gives you a buff, but they make you sit through horror, like body or horror.
That's very funny.
They're like, we'll give this to you, but you have to sit through 5 minutes of just this bard who has no business using surgical instruments, use surgical instruments on your eye. And then you get a buff.
Like it's just all this stuff like this. Like there's so many different ways to
You get a dog.
it's like the game is there's a lot of talk about in a lot of games lately where it's like very broad expansive things that are ultimately kind of shallow. And Larian has made a game here that is just really deep and connected in a lot of ways. I think I've had some like annoying autosave, some like dang I should have saved kind of moments, and haven't particularly enjoyed some of like the environmental like platforming stuff just because it takes long.
Yeah.
I've had some technical issues where it's just if there's a lot of people on screen, like things that you can tell the game is like crunching a lot of numbers sometimes because like what happens now? But just like it all comes together and just like it's just really enjoyable. Like you kind of figure out your party, like you get kind of the plan cooking as far as like how you're gonna approach these situations. Like I am just on the cusp of Act 3, and I've seen some like really all of the voice work in this game is just spectacular.
Can we talk about that? Larian Studios, voiced every single NPC in this freaking game. And you think like, are there not that many NPCs? There are thousands of NPCs. Thousands. That is
Yeah.
That's such dedication. I absolutely respect.
Yeah,
Like,
and just it's so it just the way all these things come together, like the feeling of like hitting like a really high skill check on somebody in your party at a very critical moment to like
mhm.
cause a huge swing in their character arc. Just like it's the stuff that like makes the magic of like tabletop gaming like it's like that's the thing. That's why you play these games, is to like generate moments like this that were not in your notes anywhere, like, you know, in your prep, but like it
Mhm.
just like the that magical moment where it all kind of snaps into place and you're like, this is something special. And like
What if
they've
you
managed to
challenge a
take that
god to
feeling
a
like,
fight? Oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
like, and they've taken that feeling as like, as someone who runs these games and has I like it's one of my, it's like my favorite hobby these days. And like they put that feeling like into a game. It's about as close as you can get it, which is just really cool. And just
It's near perfect. Like, it's a near
um
perfect TTRPG boiled into a video game.
yeah. And like again, yeah, there's like technical issues, you know, duh. I think I hear actually is kind of the messiest part of that, so I'll keep you posted on that. But I'm just really
Yeah.
enjoying it. Like it's silly, but like I really like my character. I like that I, you know, spend a lot of time like thinking about like their style, their appearance, like how do they approach these things. Like it's
Mhm.
fun to like the parties are all the characters, like the cast is really interesting. They're all acted super well. Gale needs to chill out.
Nah,
Also,
Gale's
Lae'zel
just vibing. Gale
also
is
needs to chill out.
vibing.
But they're all
Lizelle,
really fun. Lazelle's great, but I'm just like,
the reptilian
you gotta,
Klingon that she
gotta
is.
chill. She is very Klingon, but it's very funny. Like her and Shadowheart like keep bickering all the time, and I'm like, do I have to
Oh,
turn
would
this
you keep
party
them in a
around?
party together? That's
They're
great.
so funny. It's great. Like all the banter between everybody is great. Like
I cannot believe there's so much freaking dialogue in this. It's like,
it's
what a satisfying banquet of a narrative
it's
that this
just
game
it's
is.
so much fun. Like they just really you can tell they just really, more than anything, I think that is interesting about this game is that this Larian Studios is a private company,
Hmm.
does not have any like like public shareholders.
Hmm.
Like it's just owned by the guy who owns the studio and is like of super passionate about this stuff. So I can't really speak to a lot of like the larger working conditions. I'm sure they probably crunched like hell on this game because that's what everybody does.
Sure.
So I can't speak to that specifically, but like you get a sense that a game like this could not exist in a lot of, would not be permitted to exist and be made in a lot of other environments. And I think that is just really cool because you can see like all the time, just the years of just it put into the volume of this game that like makes all of the magic work. Like just like the overwhelming volume of like the things that you do matter, and like the interactions and like everything, the way it all comes together. It's just, it's really interesting, and it's like hard to imagine that it would exist in a way that makes this really work
Hmm.
if it was a game that needed to be, you know, hitting shelves by Q4 um 2019, you know.
Yeah, there's a level of passion that went into making this game that is like, as you were saying, so self-evident. Like, there was a part, I'm not gonna reveal how, because Josh may want to play it one day. There's a part where you get to some painting of someone's god. You're like, huh, cute painting. And I made my character. My character is a wisecracking intimidation paladin. So most of my skill checks are I just stare at you really hard, like motherfuckerly. as I like to call it, and the character says, "Well, you know, I guess I'll do the thing." It's like, that's right,
I'm just a birthday baby. I am just a little guy.
I'm just,
Yeah.
just a little guy. My character like walked up to a painting of someone's god. It's like, that's a cute painting of your god. They're like, yes, of course it's a cute painting of my god. Leave it alone. And I like put on my sleight of hand skill check gloves. I was like, I'm gonna draw on your painting. I'm gonna do it so no one sees it. And I drew a little stupid little thing on there. And the game lets you get away with that stupid shit. Like, imagine like I'm
Yeah.
playing in like RTT RPG, and my character, who's the same character by the way, he's traveled across dimensions. Darius Iconoclast. He's like, Mike,
Darius.
I want to draw on that painting, and Mike's like, oh. Tell you what, roll sleight of hand. I'm like, hold on. I put on my gloves of sleight of hand. Ah.
Yeah, you can tell like there like in a lot of just like the dialogue and stuff that there's just like the tiniest little sprinkle of like kind of fourth wall energy. Not as
Mhm.
much as like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which is really great. I really enjoyed it. You should watch it. It's a fun time.
I'll watch it. Yeah.
But like there's another character who can join your party, and this is like the last thing I'll say, and then we should wrap up because we're going long.
Okay.
But there's some dialogue I got like with one of the other characters in the party named Will. I can't remember who started the conversation, if it was Shadowheart. And they're like, "Oh, what's your name?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm Shadowheart. What's your name?" And he's like, "My name's Will." She's like, "Will?" And he's like, "Yeah, Will." It's like, "Huh, that's weird." He's like, "Oh, it's Will with a Y." And she's like, "Oh, okay." Which is just like, it's just funny. Because like her name is Shadowheart.
Yeah. It's not
It's
even.
just
That's a vibe, not a name.
she's
I-
a baby girl.
I think the
and she
last
must be
thing I will say
protected.
about this game is the moment that lives rent free in my head is, you know, the painting of the god that I said I made my character draw.
Mhm.
Eventually, I got to meet that god. I'm like, you're probably not a god, and said
Ooh.
character said, I am a god, and you should bow to me and pledge fealty to me. And my character, Darius Iconoclast, the wisecracking intimidation paladin, said, how about if you're having a problem, you go solve it yourself, because I don't think you're a god. And the character said, listen, show me some respect or I'll kill you. And I made my character say, you won't. And the game instantly game overed me. It said, no, reload your save, dumbass. The god killed you. And I like to think that is DM Mike saying, Ray, I need to see your character sheet. It just rips it from.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my like danger phrases of, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And can I see your character sheet? And you're like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, no, 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 no."
To
no."
be fair,
I'm in danger.
the game did warn me like 4 times before it insta game over. And
It
that
gave
part-
you every opportunity to back down, and you said no.
Never back
I
down,
said,
never
nah,
what?
if you're
Never
a
give
real
up,
god,
never
you'll
surrender.
Never back down, never what? Never give up.
These colors don't run, baby. Darius, I got a glass. Let's go.
I love the forethought of that. I love the game just saying like, go ahead. We're not gonna stop you at a certain point.
Yeah.
Go for it. See what happens.
It's your funeral, buddy.
Quite literally in that case. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It's a blessing of a game. It's one of those games. This is my last thought on it. There's no game that gives me better hope for like the game industry writ large, that a studio said, here, this is the best that we could do after 7 years, and it's like literally one of the best games I've ever played, and all they charged for it was $60, no microtransactions, no DLC.
And
They're like,
people
no,
are
we're done.
banging down the door for like extra stuff though, and which
Fools.
rocks because
Freaking fools! It's like this game has everything. It is, there's complete package, and then there's, you cannot ask for more. Anything more than
and
this
I, and,
is a
I, and I
sequel.
like, you know, I mean, if they're gonna let me, if I'm gonna be provided the opportunity to purchase additional Baldur's Gate 3 stuff, I will happily take advantage of that.
I mean,
Sounds like a good time to me.
if they do like if they take like a couple years and they do some DLC where it's like, hey, we added a whole new side quest to like Act 2 or something like that. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, sure.
just fire up a new character and like.
Yeah, I'm just not in a rush right now. I'm like,
But I mean, at that point, why not just make Baldur's Gate 4? Why not? Why do we have to wait 20 years between releases?
to be fair, yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 came out on the PS2. It's been a second. it's been a
Yeah,
minute.
maybe instead of working on DLC, they could just tighten up the release window.
Yeah. I could go for. I haven't even beaten Baldur's Gate 3 right now, but if they said like, hey, we're gonna take like a 6-month break, then maybe we'll do something else. Then we'll come back to Baldur's Gate 4 and we'll release that in like 2032 or something like that. I'm like, I feel you. I get it.
Well, I can't imagine like that they're absolutely looking at that stuff because this thing has stoled gangbusters, which is well deserved. So,
the number 8th, the number 8th most downloaded game on Steam ever right now. It's doing all right.
that's not bad.
You know what the 8th most downloaded podcast on the internet is?
Not ours, but go ahead.
Some NPR thing.
Unscriptedgaming.com. Yeah, that's
Nice.
just what it is.
Sweet. I love that for us.
We're
I
here.
agree.
We love it. It's amazing. People go to unscriptedgaming.com to get links to all of our videos, socials, and our audio versions. We can find us on Facebook at Unscripted Game Podcast. We're on X at unscripted-gaming.
Gosh.
SoundCloud.com/unscripted-gaming
That's
gets
so
you to
bad.
all of our podcatchers and all of our audio versions. And we're on YouTube for the video versions of all of our podcasts. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Ray.
My name is Mike.
Peace.